Good morning, everybody. Right now, I'm actually getting ready for work, but these couple weeks before the study starting, actually just a little more than a week now, I'm getting ready for the study too. And, I'm trying to reduce the amount of salt that I eat because I am a salt fiend and I love salt. I'm not drinking coffee, or any caffeine for that matter. I'm trying to make sure that my hydration levels, my water intake is all good. Just trying to record a lot of things and get in preparation for the study. Make sure that once I hit my first month of diet and food, that I'm ready to go, that I'm as healthy as I can be, and I have as few chemicals in my body as possible because I just have to think, there are a lot of things that affect our health and how our body functions. Particularly with fat, there's many mechanisms to actually releasing and consuming fat as energy. But for our overall health, especially, you've got your current state of health, and how you've been feeling for the last so long. That's affecting how you are now. You've got your the food that you eat affecting your health, your exercise and your strength, your body composition. You've got your sleeping patterns, your sleeping habits, and what you currently do. One of the things I used to do all the time that I'm not doing anymore either is I am a lot of times I like to fall asleep with something on TV, something playing, usually Futurama. But something to fall asleep to. But the thing is, electronics, particularly, and other stimulus can affect your sleep and reduce your quality of sleep. So one of the things that actually I've been meaning to do for a little while, and one of the things I want to do for my study too, is make sure that when I'm going to sleep, I'm going to sleep around the same times. I'm getting my 8 hours of sleep, and I don't have any major electronics or stimulus affecting me when I sleep. So I'm getting ready for the study as I'm getting ready this morning, and I have to think how many other health studies have been conducted that take into account that don't take into account what the people being studied, the people involved, have been doing for the last couple weeks or month, or even all these other factors that I've talked about. I've never seen a health study that involved calories, exercise, and sleeping patterns. We're making sure that everybody's getting the water that they need. There's a whole lot of little things, and there's so much more that really affect our health and how our body functions. So of course, as I'm getting ready, I want to make sure that right now, there's very little that I'm doing that is going to be a factor outside of my diet that I'm eating and my workout routine. Especially with caffeine. Caffeine really does affect us, and I'm not saying anything bad about caffeine because I sure do enjoy my morning cup of coffee. But the thing is, it is a chemical in our body, and it will have a significant impact and stay around for a while, or its byproducts stay around for a while. I know its half-life is around 5 hours, and a lot of people tell you, don't drink if you're sensitive to caffeine or you have trouble falling asleep after drinking caffeine. Don't have caffeine within 6 hours before going to bed. But how long are the byproducts there from coffee? Again, only a half-life of 5 hours, but things like gluten, are, you don't think of like a drug, even though to be continued going in later how foods are drugs and we're really addicted to them. But in terms of how it affects us, physically, we really don't think about eating a piece of bread or some wheat and it being around for a long time, you know. But gluten sticks around in your system for 3 to 4 months. And to me that makes sense because, again, going back to nutrition deficiencies such as scurvy, which take 3 or 4 months to develop, typically that means the food that we're eating, it really will stick around for at least 3 to 4 months. And again, or maybe not the food that we eat, particularly, but whatever the byproducts are, from it, whatever, other things we can't see, what we don't know about the food. And again, part of my whole premise is there's so many things about food that we just don't know, that we just don't understand, that we don't look at. So, at any rate, my goal is to eliminate as many things possible getting ready for this study that may have some type of impact on the outcome. So, it's just going to be food and diet. So, yeah, getting ready, getting very excited, looking forward to seeing what happens. And so, you guys can join me in getting ready as well. And everything starts in about a week. So, all right, more to come here. But here's another piece I forgot to mention in terms of getting ready for this study. So often we, or when you're looking at other health studies and the preparation for health studies, and again, and how our bodies act. I think one real simple example about how our bodies act differently depending on many other factors is we all know that our bodies don't function the same when we're sick. So that's one way to show just really high level that, hey, our health does impact how our body functions and how we feel. Most people have probably been sick and their bodies start doing some weird things, either you're not feeling well, you're dizzy, you're lightheaded, you start getting hot and cold chills and all that other kind of good stuff that go around cold, fever, flu, and other sickness and disease. So our bodies don't act the same. And part of the reason too, I know, is because first off, our immune system is going full blast trying to get rid of it, and even if you're fighting off something, it's like that can have an impact. A lot of people can feel colds coming on, and things like that, because our immune system will kick into gear, and it still impacts even at that point, how we feel and how we function. So, and other things that I have to say can affect how we, a health study is body composition. So, fine, you might find studies where you have average, average body fat percentages around a certain percentage or whatever, but will the amount of muscle that someone has affect how their body functions? I mean, I think it will. Now, to what degree, I'm not sure. Do I think that it's enough to throw off a study? I sure do. Because you can have two people doing the exact same exercise routines or have the exact same diets, and we commonly look at body fat percentage, but let's talk about pounds of muscle mass. How many pounds of muscle mass does someone have? Because, the amount of muscle that we have, does affect many things in our body, and I believe our body is aware of our body's composition. So, if we have a lot of muscle mass, I think our body's going to react differently from having more muscle mass than having less. So I've seen some research in the past that kind of touches on that a little bit. I've seen some people that indicate that people who are leaner tend to put on more lean muscle than fat. And again, some of the things in this study may help identify why. I've never really seen any conclusive research on that fact, and it's just popped up in a couple studies that I've seen here and there. So, body composition, patterns over the last weeks or months, or overall health, hydration levels, sleep, how often do we look at these things as affecting a study? But odds are, and one of the reasons why I'm doing this on myself is with all these different diet and caloric variants that I'm doing, I can't say that someone who is unhealthy or someone that has less muscle mass, less strength than I do, how their body's going to handle it. I don't think someone who's unhealthy is going to handle this study very well. I do not recommend that anyone attempt this study, because I am not certain on how it would impact someone who is, let's say, unhealthy. Someone whose body needs to get healthy, needs to recover, needs nutrients, who, because of a lack of nutrients, when they're eating limited food source diet, or might actually have some very negative results, even over a month. So I don't recommend it, you know. And so there's so many things that I think can affect a study, an outcome of a study, and I think we've seen and experienced a lot of these. And I hope to use this experiment to indicate how our bodies should really be functioning. And again, people can look at this as one of two ways. Since I'm not looking at a huge group of people, you can look at it like, oh, like I'm some special case, which particularly with caloric deficit is why I want to look at consuming a caloric excess and a caloric deficit. Because if I'm eating 3,000 calories, so I have a caloric surplus of about 1,000 calories a week, or about 1,000 calories, not 1,000 calories a week, but actually about 4,000 calories a week. It would be my caloric excess on 3,000 calories. So if I can consume that, a lot of times people could look at that for 1 month or one study and say, oh, well, he just has a really high metabolism, even though most people don't really understand what makes up your metabolism. And some of the things that involve metabolism are things like waste. Our body will get rid of things it doesn't need. For example, water is a great example, and I've got this up, I've got this mentioned a couple times for references, that if we drink a lot of water, we don't turn into camels, we don't reserve everything. I mean, water is essential to our health. So if we don't need it, our body just gets rid of it. Sure, our body will use it if it needs it, and then we just pee it out. So when we look at excess caloric consumption, I know we're all most people are under the assumption that, oh, well, we store fat because, a long time ago calories were really hard to come by, so we need to store everything that we can. But again, not to get into too many details right now, but I don't agree with that. But I believe that we can see in terms of in caloric expenditure as well, in terms of efficiency, and maybe just in terms of waste, is that if we start eating a lot, then our body can just get rid of it and say, hey, I'm going to get the nutrients I need from this food. I'm going to do what I need with this food, but I don't need these calories because I've got enough calories. And I think our bodies can do that. And to say that our bodies can't do that, for one, just to completely rule it out, I don't know what I want to say about that, but we don't know why our bodies do the things it does. So we're on the complete assumption, first off, that our body stores calories because they're hard to come by. That's still an assumption. We don't know why our body chooses to do things. Just like we don't know why stem cells choose to be the individual elements that they actually become. We don't know why one stem cell chooses to be something. We just know that when they're put around the same things, they tend to form into those cells. So it's very, very interesting. So I believe our body can just choose to get rid of calories when it doesn't need to, and I think it does. But I think to do that, we have to be toxin-free, which is another thing in the studies. I haven't even had any processed sugar for almost 2 months now. I've been eating a lot of veggies and very clean for the last getting on 2 years now, and I think that it's going to have a big impact on how my body functions right now. So and again, so I could be the case where you find, you have to do this with more than one person. Well, I think doing it with one person is actually a better study, because with my body, you figure out how my body is going to handle, these different caloric levels, and I think you're going to see my body adapt. If I eat 3,000 calories, I don't expect to gain a lot of fat. When I eat less than 1,000 calories a day, which should be a significant caloric deficit, I don't think I'm going to lose a lot of fat. So if I can show that, again, you could say, oh, well, he's just special. But what are you going to argue? That I have a high metabolism or a low metabolism? Well, of course, what I'm going to argue is that our bodies adapt to how many calories that we eat. And I think bodies can adapt differently. And essentially what I'm just trying to show is that our bodies do adjust to how much calories that we're eating. So weight loss is not really due to a caloric increase or a caloric deficit. I think it has a small amount of what it impacts weight loss and weight gain. And I hope to show that. So I don't think I'm special. I think I'm healthy. I don't think that's as common as it should be. But I think I'm healthy. I think I'm strong. Granted, I'm not a professional power lifter or bodybuilder, but for your average person, I think I'm pretty strong. So we'll see how this goes. But again, these are all the things that I'm doing and discussing for preparation of the study. Again, it's like, we get ready for work every day. We get ready for, we save money for the years to come. We do a lot to prepare. A lot of times when we look at health and health studies, we really don't do a lot to prepare. And so when we don't prepare, bad things happen. Bad things can happen. Anyway, again, TV continued. I'm going to go to work. Take care.